Vayikach Haman es halavush v'sasus, and Haman took the garment and the horse. And it says on the bottom, Bebuch, Elef Tishim Shalosh, Guf Ksaviyad Kodesh. So in the book numbered 1093, in the handwriting of the Tzemach Tzedek it's himself, because of Bekan Tzarech Lichtov Ma'abichol Zayin Yud V'yitlu. It says, you need to write here from the book 7 Yud and from the Maamar V'yitlu. V'nisha Yosef Midaf Cholek, and there's more than one whole page empty. So I guess there's something that he wanted to add to this Maamar. Hini Amar Razal. Now our sages said Perek Beis de Sota Tafei Sofamod Aleph. It says in the Gemara Sota, Amarav Chia Barashi Amarav Talmid Chacham Tzarech Sheyeh Bo Echad Mishminis Shebishminis. That a Torah scholar needs to have 1/8 of 1/8 of haughtiness. Mishkal Katan Hu. So what is the Shminis Shebishminis? It's a very small measure. Vainu Uchla. And it's called the Uchla. Kolomar Tzarech Sheyeh Bo Me'at Gaiva. And he has to have a slight amount of haughtiness. Shelo Yihi Akali Harosh Mistololin Bo. In order so that the light of head should not just make fun of him. Yihi Dvaru Miskablin Alayhu. Bal Korcha. And that his words will be perforce accepted upon them. Amar Rav Huna. So Rav Huna says, B'reid Rav Yehoshua me'atarto kisasa ma'ateres es hashibolos, and it crowns him like the chaff crowns the stalk of wheat. Lahavin hanim shel basasa l'shibulta, to understand this allegory of the chaff from the wheat. Hine b'tchila yesh lahavin ma'u inyan talmid chacham. First, we need to understand what is a student of wisdom. Ki hine ma shenikra b'shem talmid chacham aynu l'fi shemekabel b'chinas chachma. Because what is the student of the chachma is that they receive from the wisdom. B'chinas habitul b'mitzius lo rein sof. It's a state of nullification in existence at the infinite light. L'chein ein hislabshus or ein sof ela b'chachma dafka. So it's because chachma is a state of bittul, that's why the infinite light only encloses itself within wisdom alone. V'talmid chacham, and the student of the wisdom, mekabel mebechinas chachma, is that they receive from the wisdom. Haga, and a comment on this, Vef Shalom, and we can say al derech chachma tata shemekabel es mechachma ilah. That's like the lower concept of wisdom, in general malchus, that receives from the higher concept of wisdom. Like by Moshe it says that what are we? What meaning to say there are the strength of the ma, of the what? That the concept of ma, of bittul, is enclosed in them. Moshe kibel Torah Sinai, and Moshe received the Torah from Sinai because he had the state of bittul, Masara li Yoshua, and gave it over to Yoshua. And that's like the Chachma Ilan Chachma Tata. He's going to say Amru Pnei Moshe Kepnei Chama, because the countenance of Moshe is like the countenance of the sun. Upnei Yoshua Kepnei Levana, and the countenance of Yoshua is like the countenance of the moon, which in general is like Malchus. And this is similar to the concept of the sun and its shield, is the names Havai Elokim, Yichudai Lav Yichudai, the higher unity and the lower concept of unity. Moshe Nisnabe Bezechul, when Moshe had his nevuah with the word Zeh instead of Ko. Again, similar concept. of the higher and lower levels of Moshe and the other Nevi'im. That because he's the concept of Ma, he's similar to this idea of Chochmah that receives from the bit because of the bittul, and gives over downwards to the lower levels. The Talmid Chochmah, that receives from the Chochmah. Inami, or we could say Al derech mashmo mashim beno, like the pasuk from Shlomo HaMelech. What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Or you could say that his name is Ma, what, and the name of his son is also Ma, what. Meaning to say they both have the level of bittul is the higher level of bittul of the father, and the lower level of bittul of the son. Torah or Parshas Yisro, b'dibur hamaskal inyan ha'avos hin hamerkava. That's brought in Parshas Yisro about the fathers. They are the supernal chariot because of their bittul sheish beis bechinos ma. That there's two concepts of bittul of ma. Ha'alef b'chochma koach ma. The first is on the level of wisdom of chochma. Makes up the two words koach ma. Zeu mashmo. That's the first part of the pasuk. What is his name? Abeiz b'tiferes hamekabel me'achachma, and the second is the level of the sphere of tiferes that receives from wisdom of chachma. That's the second level of bittul. V'zeu mashim beno, and that's what. And Ma is the name of his son. Hainu hamshachas hachachma b'midos chulu, the concept of drawing down the wisdom into the emotional attributes. And that's what's called the student of wisdom, which is not the case with wisdom itself. That's like the sage that has acquired wisdom. They're not receiving from the wisdom, they've acquired it themselves. That the wisdom is himself, in essence, essential to him. And he's united with it, mamish truly, and that's like Moshe said, what are we? We are the Ma. If so, the student of wisdom is that in the 7 lower attributes, emotional attributes, that receives from the 3 higher intellectual faculties. And every day are drawn intellectual intellect, the so to speak, brains into Zeran Pin from the partsufim of Abba and Ima, of Chachma and Bina into the Midos. Like it's written, that you establish the heavens, which in general corresponds with Zah, with Tfuna, with understanding, which refers to how the Mochin goes to the Midos. And the wisdom is in the 3 first attributes. Or look what it says in Torah, or about how on this day all the armies went out. Altzivosam. If so, the main supernal unity as well as the lower unity comes through the student of the wisdom, specifically the fish because within the wisdom rests the infinite light. So to draw it down, you need the student of the wisdom. Hagar, and another comment. And look what it says about the concept of the spring that goes out of the house of Hashem and waters. I guess it's like the concept of wisdom going downwards. The Mayan in general is, and that turns into a river in general, is like the idea of Chachma going to Bina. brings this inyan over there. V'zeu talmid chacham shemarabim talmidei chachamim shemarabim shalom ba'olam. And this is what it means: the students of wisdom who greaten peace in the world. Shneimar, as it's written, v'chol banaich limudei havaya, that all your sons are learners of Hashem. Ki inyan hashalom, because the concept of peace, hu chibur beis hofchim, is the union of two opposites. Hainu chibur yesh v'ayin, that's the union of something and nothing together. Sheyehi hayesh batel, that is to say, when you unite something and nothing, it makes the something also a nothing. It makes it batel, it makes it nullified. La'ayin, to the nothing. V'zeu inyan yichud ha'Torah, and that's the concept of the lower level of unity. Yeshu batel. And then afterwards to unite and connect the lower level of unity to the higher level of unity, to truly become one with oneness. Complete nullification, not just something that's nullified, but completely nullified. All of this is drawn through the students of the wisdom to draw down the bittul. That's the concept of that they bring peace to the world, is that they bring the level of bittul. Look what it's brought upon the verse, or you're going to hold on to my strength. Ma'uzi in general is the Torah. It's called Oz. Yaseh Shalom li, you will make peace for me, and then the end of the pasuk is Shalom Yaseh. So it says it twice. So our sages said, Shalom bepalmal yeshel maila, ubepalmal yeshel mata. That refers to the peace above and the peace below. That they were, the leaders were the princes of the congregation, those who are called to congregate. That's why it says two languages of congregation, Eda and Moed. I guess for Palmal Yeshil Maila and Palmal Yeshil Mata, that you need peace in. Pirish Bezor Rish Pashas Korach, Daf Kufa in Vavamad Beis. So in Zohar Korach it says Kriye Ksiv, Kraye Ksiv. It says Kriye without the Yud in the middle. Chasar Yud, Ki Yud, Hainu Chachma. Why is it missing the Yud? Because Yud is wisdom, Shu Bittel, which is nullification, V'chachma Mekorkav Yamin, and wisdom is the source for the right side, Chachma Chesed Netzach, which in the Sfiros are the three Sfiros, Chachma Chesed Netzach on the right side, Shmishanim Shechua Kohanim. That from there the Kohanim come from, Valavim Shoshim Bekava Small, and the Levim come from the left side, Bina Gvura Hod, which is the three Sfiros Bina Gvura Hod. That's why it's missing the Yud, because it doesn't have the side that starts with Chachma. And even though Bina does draw out a concept of love, an arousal of flames of fire, that if your heart runs upwards, Bina hu liba, and the Bina is the heart, understanding is the heart. Im kol zeh nikra yesh. So even though it has this level, it's still called a something in existence, and not bittul. Legabe ha-chachma, in comparison to chachma. Shuhu koachma, which is the strength of what? Ela shechachma bina heim, but only that the chachma and the bina, the wisdom and the understanding, they are Taf Reish. Not sure what Taf Reish is. it seems to be some level of bittul. Valbadas korach im kriye moed. Only in the congregation of Korach, they were those who were called to the congregation without the yud. That they did not have this concept of wisdom, the strength of of what? Of bittul. Even though they still had bina, like we said, that it was on the left side, bina gvura hod. They did not have the chachma of the bittul, therefore they caused them to have an existence for themselves, to think themselves as a zach, as a something. And this caused the argument and the division. That the strictnesses of the Levim did not subjugate themselves to the chasadim of the Kohanim. Because the main concept of peace and uniting two opposites is drawn through chachma, which is the strength of ma. And that's why students of wisdom specifically greaten the peace in the world, not students of bina. Look what's brought about the concept of the four kinds that are in the lulav, that each one of them hints to the concept of unity and inclusion with one with the other. Because they come from this concept of ayin, of not, and not yesh, which is this idea of wisdom comes from nothing, a state of bittul. Look what's brought upon the verse. The ties of the grapevine and the bracha of Yaakov, Vayechi, that the word osri is oser, to tie with the yud, lekasher, lechaber, hayud, which is to tie and unite this yud, the bittul of chachma, lebechinas gefen, to the gefen, the wine or the grapevine, yain hamisameach, which refers to the wine that rejoices, shubina, which in general is bina. So to unite the chachma and the bina, oser yud legefen. That's how you'd read it. You tie attached the chachma to the yain and the gefen of bina. Mash'ein kin mi bina levad, which is not the case if you have bina alone. Dinin misarin, that awakens the judgments. Vain mashikasu bidrush im baheres kadmad kanagat. Look what it says about this idea if the white blemish comes before the hair. That in general, that's an idea of yamusu v'lo b'chachma, that the misa of the blemish of the tzaras comes because of lack of the giloy of chachma. And this is a similar idea, that you want to have the chachma into the bina, so that it's not a yesh. Now this concept of the resting of the infinite light into wisdom, because of its bittul, zoinyan ora keser, what light are we speaking of that shines in? This is the light of the crown of keser, shnigra ratzon, that's called the will. Uksiv, and it's written, Vorpanecha kiritzisam, the light of your countenance, because you desired them. V'hainu b'chinas ora insof shemer bifnim dechachma. That's the infinite light that shines into wisdom. V'zeu yar irhavaya panavilecha, and that's the meaning of that Hashem should shine His countenance to you. Meaning to say, shine the countenance, shine the keser into chachma. Haggah, and another comment from the Tzemach Tzedek on this. And that is because, like we explained before, that the main concept of the supernal unity and the lower unity is through wisdom. Therefore, this that the Torah scholars great in peace, because through wisdom is drawn the light of Keser, Ratzon Elyon, the supernal will. That it's not just Chachma, but it's also talking about Gili HaKeser, in order to facilitate these two levels of unity. And that's what causes this union and the peace, to unite the two opposites. That this is through the glimmer of Keser Bechinas Ayin, the concept of naught. Shlomo, and it's called the king Shlomo, the king of peace. Shalom Shalo, that peace belongs to him. That's the king, the crown of the king. That peace belongs to him because when you reveal Keser, it unites opposites. Chulu. Shalom Shalo Chulu. Like it says in Tanya in the letters, where it speaks of that the action of tzedakah will be peace, to reveal the level of Keser and unite opposites. L'chein amru zal gam kein tekif l'talmid chacham bracha, that right after a Torah scholar there's a blessing. Berabos parsha of daf men bezam aleph ki b'chachma nikra baruch, because wisdom is called blessing. Why is it called blessing? Lefi shebo shora orein sof, because within it rests infinite light. V'malchus nikra bracha, that's the chachmei law. And malchus, which in general is called the lower wisdom, is called bracha in the feminine. Shemikabel esmi bechinos baruch, that because it receives from baruch of chachma. So that's the higher unity and your lower unity are both called baruch and bracha. Vain mashikasu minyan habrachos betorah or parshas breshis b'dibur maskal inyan brachos. Look what it says in Torah or about the concept of brachos. Uberabos b'psichta de'echa dafnan bezam gimel al pasuk ish chacham nishpat es ish evil. And in Medrash Rabba Echa, it brings the verse that a wise man judges the wayward man. A man of wisdom, Ish Chacham, a man of Chachma, Zeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That refers to the Holy One, blessed be He. Shneimar, like it's written, Chacham Lev Amitz Koach, that he's wise of heart and strong in strength. We have Shalom, and we could say that refers to the level of Zah. That when Zah receives from Chachma, then Ish, which is the Zah, which in general is the concept of the concept of the partsuf of man, emotional construct of Ish instead of Adam, that's Zah. But Ish Chacham means that it's received from Chachma. Then it's called an Ish Chacham. And he doesn't explain the context of judging the wayward man of Ishavil. But in general, perhaps we could say that it's a birur of the lower levels. It says in Zohar Bo that he made a small vessel, and that's Yud. And he filled it up, or he filled from it. And he called it a spring that sprouts forth wisdom. And he called himself in it wise, meaning to say that Hashem created within himself a vessel of Chokhmah, and then we call Hashem wise with this vessel, because without it he would be beyond wisdom. V'hainu, and this is the concept of Inyan Hislapshus or in Sof HaSoviv Kol Almin, the enclothement of the infinite light that encompasses all worlds, Shemeir Bibechinas Chokhmah, that shines into the concept of wisdom. Val Shem Zeh Nikra Chacham Levu Ish Chacham, and it's because of this that he's called wise of heart, or a wise man. Look what it says about this in Likutei Torah and Shavuos, on the verse, and the Elohim spoke, I am Hashem. Uksiv Havaya b'Chachma, and it uses this name Havaya specifically in Anochi, because Havaya is the concept of Chachma, Havaya, like the pasuk says, Havaya b'Chachma. So Matan Torah then was a Gilui of Chachma in that. And it explains in Likutei Torah and the Maamar that all your sons are learners of Havaya, that they learn from this name of Havaya, they receive from it, from the wisdom, from Chachma. Ki b'nei Yisrael nikra Netzach v'Hod, because the sons of Israel are called Netzach and Hod, like he brought before. That's the concept of Tzivos Havaya, perhaps. Netzach is a branch of Chachma. So if you come from, if you're on the level of Netzach, you're going to receive from Chachma. Therefore, it's called the student of Chachma. Hainu Talmido Shel Chacham, the student of the wisdom. Like it says in Erchei Akinoim in the Pardes Mustama from the Ramak. Vain Mashakasov Sof Dibur Maskil Moshe Daber B'Dibur Maskil Vasisa Tzitz V'Inyan Anshe Moshe. Look what it says on the verse, in the Maamar, on the verse that Moshe spoke, and that how you should make a tzitz. It says you should take anashim, and if Moshe is taking the anashim, then our sages say that those are anshe Moshe, and men of Moshe, meaning to say men of wisdom, that they receive from Moshe who's a level of chachma. In Pri Etz Chaim, when it talks about the four sons, the first one is the Chacham, the wise son, who Atzilus, which corresponds with the world of Atzilus. And to draw down this wisdom, that to be called a student, and to receive from the Chachma, from wisdom. That's through the toil in Torah, that the Torah comes from wisdom, from Chachma. Like it says on explaining that you are my candle, explaining the verse about the Korban Mincha, that you should pour oil upon it, which in general oil is wisdom. That there's love and fear, and also the desire of the heart. And that's why it says if there's no fear, there's no wisdom. And if there's no wisdom, there's no fear. You have to look over there to understand that context. But in general, wisdom and fear are on the same level. Of Chachmei law, Kitzer, so in short, Talmid Chacham Tzarich that so we brought that the Torah scholar needs to have an eighth of haughtiness that surrounds him, like the chaff of that a chaff surrounds the shibolas, the wheat. Pirush Talmid Chacham. So we explained the student of wisdom, Shemekabel Mechachma, that receives from wisdom, Koach Ma, which is the strength of bittul of what? Al derech pnei Moshe kipnei Chama, and that's like the face of Moshe is like the face of the sun, Shemeshur Magen Chulu, which is like the sun and its shield, Upnei Yeshua, and like the face of Yoshua is the face of the moon. Inami, or Al derech Mashmo Mashem Beno, like the verse, what is his name? What's the name of his son? Gimel Rishonos with Zayin Tachtonos, which corresponds with the 3 higher levels and the 7 lower levels. Lechein Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom. Therefore, the Torah scholars, great in peace in the world. Hainu Amshachas Yichudei Lavi Yichudei Torah, which is the drawing down of the higher unity and the lower unity, Nikra Shalom. That's called the bringing peace. Ulechein Bekorach Kriyei Moed Chasar Yud. That's why in Korach it says Kriyei Moed, those who called the congregation without a Yud, without the Chachma. Osir Yud, you need to attach the Yud, which is Chachma Lebechinas Geffen, to the grape, which is the bean of the Ikra Shalom, Hainu Aidesh B'Chachma Meira Keser. And the main concept of peace is not just through Chachma, but that in wisdom shines the crown of Keser, or Panecha Kiritzisam, which is the meaning of the verse, in the face of the countenance, because you desired them. Ulechein, and therefore, take Latamid Chacham Bracha, right after the Torah scholar there is blessing, Gam HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nikra Ish Chacham, so to the Holy One blessed be, he's called the wise man. V'ya Torah Mechabera Orin Sofim Nishamas Yisrael, and Torah unites the infinite light with the souls of Israel, Klas Kishrin, with 3 ties. And this is perhaps a Chiddush in the Kitzur here, because he didn't bring the idea of Klas Kishrin Miskashran B'da B'da, Oraisa Kutshabichum Yisrael, which is hinting to now, but that through the Torah we attach ourselves to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, through this Torah study, we're called the students of wisdom. And again, another Chiddush Shlomar Shminis B'Shminis, we can say, what's this concept of the 8th of the 8th? L'chaber Sag La'av, to unite Shem Sag to Shem Av. So the Shminis, one Shminis is, I guess, Shem Sag, and another Shminis is Shem Av. I'm not sure exactly why each one is a Shminis. Or we could say that Shem Av is like the wise person, Shem Sag is the Gaiva, because it's the Oros of Tohu, and Av in general corresponds with wisdom of Chachma. It's also a concept of uniting Bina and Chachma. But I'm not sure why a Shminis in particular. V'chein al yidei zeh lamayla, and so to this concept above, Chibur Tzedakah Mishpat, you have the union of charity and righteousness. Shmistalik minat hashayim chulu, that goes away from the wicked. The Avesag Tafresh and Av and Sag are Tafresh. I'm not sure what that is. Tzarech Lios Av Gover, but Shem Av has to be stronger and overcome the Shem Sag. Therefore, the bittul has to be more than the haughtiness of Shem Sag, I guess.